Hey everybody, I still can't find my hat. If anybody knows where it's been, please let me know. Send it to this address. It took my hair with it, so if you could please help out a fellow man in need and just find this damn thing. So we actually just reached a very big milestone with SteamTember. That being, we have officially watched the first 100 episodes of Thomas and Friends, which is a big deal, right? Not that many kids shows can say that they made it to 100 episodes, let alone 584. I think that's the right episode count. I'm not 100% sure. And so to celebrate this momentous occasion of sitting through 100 episodes on top of about 40 or so episodes of Shining Time Station, I decided that we're actually going to be doing something very, very fun. Every 100 episodes we get through for Thomas and Friends, I'm going to take some time aside and make a bonus video where we get to go ahead and talk about and look over additional aspects of the Thomas and Friends fandom that isn't just the main series, it's spin-offs and movies. And so for the very first one of these, it just makes the most sense to me to start things off with Thomas and Friends merchandise. There's a cat staring down at me. The cat staring at me. Hello. She's occupied with other stuff now. Oh, the other one's coming down. The cats are coming down to the basement. So naturally, the first place to start off with Thomas and Friends merchandise would be the toys. These toys have been huge. Toys have always been a massive part of the Thomas and Friends branding. I mean, toy trains already sell really well. You put a face on that train, suddenly you got gold. And so, yeah, I have a lot of Thomas and Friends toys over the course of the entire series. The entire original series of 24 seasons spans from all the way up to season 1 to, around when I stopped watching in the mid-2010s, around, season 15, I'm pretty sure. I forget the exact season I stopped watching, but we'll figure it out when we get there in 40 years or something. But before I get into that, it's important that we talk about some of the very brief history of Thomas and Friends toys, mainly on how some of the very first Thomas and Friends toys actually weren't Thomas and Friends. They were Shining Time Station.
Thomas, the cheeky, fussy little engine, and his pals from Shining Time Station could be rolling down the track at your house now. From the island of Sodor, there's faithful Edward, distinguished James, helpful Toby, and proud Gordon, heading for the station on schedule again. Noisy Harold, the helicopter, he's here too. And you can wave to Sir Topham Hatt as you roll through.
Ertl makes a whole world of Thomas in sturdy die-cast metal, along with playsets complete from tracks to town. Shining Time Station's Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends.
In terms of in the US, the very first line of toys based off of these characters tied into Shining Time Station, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, we got a market off of this show with talking trains, but people don't really know just the trains yet. So it makes sense to theme it around the show that people actually know about here in the States. Although everywhere else in the world, it's Thomas and Friends. Shining Time Station is really just a US thing. I never had any of these Shining Time Station Thomas toys to my knowledge, and to my knowledge neither did either of my brothers, but they're a neat thing. And they are such a neat part of Thomas and Friends history that these specific toys played a massive role in the fan-made Magic Railroad parody movie, which you guys should definitely check out if you haven't already.
I swear to God, this video is not
sponsored by that channel or anything like that. I just think that movie was really fucking funny, okay? God, my new haircut sucks. But with all of that out of the way, I think it's high time that we get into some of my childhood Thomas toys. Now, there were 3 types of toys that I definitely played with the most. There was the wooden railway toys, which were Thomas toys that were made out of wood, like the engines and all the people. They were made out of wood. The track was made out of wood and everything. Basically, everything was made out of wood.
The more places your child's imagination takes him, the bigger his world becomes. Take your child's imagination to more great destinations with the popular Thomas and Friends Wooden Railway by Learning Curve, where little engineers keep chugging away.
Let's go over the bridge, Thomas.
While learning something new every day on the magical island of Sodor.
It's time for wash.
Like sharing lessons about friendship, fair play, and teamwork, captivating your child's imagination and teaching him how little kids, like little engines, can do big things. Every engine from the wonderful stories of Thomas and Friends comes to life in brilliant detail. No other play system offers longer-lasting adventures that grow with your child year after year. The possibilities are endless. Everyone is making tracks to great destinations. Let your child's imagination start here.
They were the Tomy toys. Tomy got the rights to make Thomas toys, which Tomy also got the rights to make Pokemon toys. To my knowledge, those were like the big licenses that they got.
It's a busy day on the railway for Thomas and Friends. With lots to see and do, Thomas needs a full load of water and coal to have lots of energy and be useful all day. Adding tunnels, track, and bridges means new adventures to come. Creating the world of Thomas and Friends can be hours of fun. Available now, only from Tomy.
And finally, there were also the Trackmaster toys. The Trackmaster toys were the ones that got the rights after Tomy, to my knowledge.
The thrills. The action. The suspense. It's all new Thomas at Action Canyon. Just like in the Great Discovery DVD, you'll burst through waterfalls and bust down bridges. Action Canyon with all new heights and daredevil drops. New Trackmaster Thomas at Action Canyon comes with everything you see here. Batteries not included. Stanley sold separately.
And I was too old for this shit by the time Mattel got a hold of the toy rights for the show.
We're here at the Thomas Sodor Cup. Who will win? All engines go!
Go, go, go. Whee!
Thomas wins! This time, you can connect to build your world of Sodor. Thomas and Friends race for the Sodor Cup set.
So I don't have any of the Mattel toys. I don't have any of the toys for All Engines Go. I've seen them in the stores. They look like shit. So we're just going to go over some of my toys. All of the toys that I had as a kid. I don't know exactly how entertaining this will be to you guys, but I just think that it'll be a very fun nostalgia thing for me to just dig through all my old toys from one of my favorite shows, and we'll just see how entertaining it is for you guys. Okay, so this is one of the totes that has my Thomas and Friends Trackmaster and Tomy toys mixed together. Now, the way as a kid that I was able to tell the difference is that obviously 2 ways. The first way I was able to tell as a kid. The second way I wasn't able to tell till later when I was too old to be playing with these. The first way, obviously, the track is completely different. So the Tomy tracks, they're bright blue. The Tomy tracks are bright blue, and they have these little square ends. And the Trackmaster tracks are usually gray, and sometimes other different colors, like this one is green because it's supposed to be woods. And they're gray, but they have these little, like, I don't know what you call it, these little, like, roundish parts. I knew through different videos that there were these little, like adapter thing that can combine the two of them, so you can like combine your two tracks together. And I always wanted one of those as a kid, but I never got them. Maybe they're out there somewhere, but frankly, I'm at the point where I don't really need it. Why is there a laundry hamper here? The other way I was able to tell, I wasn't really able to tell this until I got older, were the faces of the toys themselves. Tomy primarily had access to the toys during the model series run around the Hit Entertainment era, and Trackmaster mainly had them during the CGI series. To be honest, I didn't do any research for this segment outside of what I already knew, because I just think that just fits the vibe better. Maybe there might be a little bit of overlap and I'm just completely wrong, but to my understanding, that's just how it goes. Like, for instance, let's take a look at Percy over here. You could tell by the look of the face of this Percy toy. Well, first of all, he went through hell. I mean, just look at his buffers. But you can tell by the look of his face, he's clearly supposed to be modeled off of, well, a model. And, you know, to be honest, the toy, it still looks really good. It's obviously not an exact model from the TV show. It's definitely meant to be like a child's toy, and we'll get into those types of toys merchandise in a second, but you know, for what it is, it looks really good. And does this still have a battery in it? Oh my god, this still got a battery in it, so they can still go. I don't know if all these still have batteries in them, but that's really cool. But yeah, these run on batteries. Like, you can take them apart with a screwdriver, have your parents put a big ass battery in there. But what works about them is that they're not completely inactive if they don't have a battery in them. You can just roll them along your track, just like that. But it's always really cool when you have the battery in them, because they can just like that. But yeah, let's take a look at this Thomas right over here. And this Thomas, you could definitely tell, was from the CGI run, because just look at that fucking face. Is there still a battery in him? Thomas still has a battery in it. That's awesome. But yeah, I definitely played with both of these toys. Like, it's very clear which came from which era. But damn it, they're still fun. They're still great. I love them both equally. And they both have a very special place in my heart. Now, what are some of the other engines we have in here? We got James. This was one of those Tomy ones. This was kind of useless because it could only be operated by a remote. My brother and I would always lose those remotes. You couldn't move them without the remote, so they were just kind of there. All right, we also got another Percy that's just like that. Has a little coal coach. All right, we got Gordon from the CGI series. A lot of these are from the CGI era. Does this still have a battery? All right, the first one that doesn't have a battery. The Gordon one still looks really good. All right, we got another Thomas. This one is from the model series, and you can tell that it's old as hell because, for one thing, this side of him is completely blank, and he's missing the little white bar thing that goes on both sides. So yeah, this Thomas has been through some shit, but we love him anyway. What else is in here? Oh, this is a wooden crane that has nothing to do with Thomas, but I had it anyway. Okay, we got another Thomas, which is in much better condition and is also from the model series. But just like the Percy, he's missing a buffer. He's still great. I love him. I love how so many of these, like, I just can't sell. Not just because of the sentimental value, but because a lot of them are just fucking broken. Dear God, how many Thomases did I have? What is this, like the fourth one? They're exactly the same. Why is Murdoch's tender coach in here randomly? All right, this is one of the coaches that they would have. I believe this was like for a circus set. I think this opens. It doesn't open. Let's get into some of the tracks. This one, as I mentioned earlier, this was for like the I forget what it was called, like the Willow Woods. It had a bunch of trees. Lost it. This behemoth right over here was for a monster set that I tore down once I was into it, along with this tunnel. This was for the Blue Mountain Mystery movie, which was like the last Thomas and Friends movie I watched before I was too old for it. I mean, I was technically too old to be watching PBS at that time, but I didn't fucking care. We got this little light. I don't know if it ever worked, but we got a light. We got a station stopper. You just pull a switch and train stops. We got a shed. We got a shed right over here. Now, funny thing about these sheds. So I actually never had a Titmuth shed while I was a kid. So I would just use these random sheds and a turntable as my Titmuth sheds. Because like I never really saw them in the stores. So these were like the only sheds that I had to be where the characters would sleep at night. So, damn it, a kid had to do what a kid had to do, and I was fucking grateful for it. Oh, this one right over here. I know this just looks like a typical station, but what I would do with this all the time is that I would put this over like a station stopper track, and I would take Thomas, put him with Annie and Clarabelle, and I would recreate the end of the intro with it. Like I would recreate the end of the intro just like that, where he's stopping right in front of the station. And I would do that all the time. I did that shit all the time as a kid. I was like, this is the shit. This is the life, man. Can you tell I'm autistic? Hey. Okay, I also got this cardboard box, which from the looks of it, mainly has just more engines in it. I'm just starting to realize that you can't really see it. So what am I to do about that? Well, there are a bunch of fucking boxes in this basement. We're just gonna keep stacking shit until you can see the box. There we go. Okay, let's get going. This was for, I believe that this was for the fire engine. This is for either the fire engine or the docks. I can't remember which one. Alright, we got Clarabelle right over here. I don't know where the fuck Annie is, but we got Clarabelle. There's Clarabelle right there. It looks like Duck fucking died. Wait, is this him right here? Oh, yeah. Never mind. He's okay. This? Who is this supposed to be? Is this supposed to be like the jet engine? No, it can't be the jet engine. Like, maybe it's Hector? I don't know, man. We haven't gotten that far in yet. I can't remember. Alright, we haven't met this character yet, but there's a couple of characters we haven't met yet. Well, we got With, the garbage engine. He's been through shit. Here is Victor. This is Victor. He's another... Oh! Still, he makes noise? So this is going to be a bit of a spoiler for later, but the character was first introduced having red paint. He originally, canonically, was yellow, so that's why he's yellow. And fuck yeah, we got Salty. To be honest with you guys, I was shocked that Salty wasn't introduced into the show until like season 5, because for me, Salty's always been there. Like, Salty, he's the guy. Salty was always that guy who was always there. Oh, we found the OG Victor. OG Victor right there. It's like I believe one of the first new characters we meet in the CGI series. Speaking of CGI characters, we got this guy. His name is Charlie. I don't know why I have a toy of him, because I don't remember liking Charlie that much. Charlie fucking sucks. Get him out of here. Alright, there. We got a little coal coach that can flip like that. Flip like that. It's really cool. We got another Thomas. Oh my god. Oh, we got Bulgy the Bus. Bullseye the bus. I guess this is a spoiler for later, because I don't remember Bullseye ever getting green. But I guess this was the only Bullseye I had. Oh, we got Scruffy! Oh, Scruffy. Now, I've already recorded the episode where we get introduced to Scruffy, but you guys haven't seen it yet. So stay on the lookout for Scruffy. We got a little broken wooden railway Emily. We haven't met Emily yet. We got the corpse for one of the newer CGI characters. I think his name was Luke. We got not one, but two Tobys that are exactly the same. And then they kiss. So, like, I remember this diesel engine. Like, I remember him. I watched him in the later season of the shows. But I do not remember his name for the life of me. Somebody in the comments, please help me remember who the fuck this guy's name is. We got another James. We love him. We love James. James is a little bastard. Alright, we got Freddy. Freddy is a bit of an interesting character because he's technically one of the first characters we meet in CGI. But he's technically a character who only exists in the model series. How can that be both ways? You're just gonna have to stay tuned and find out. So, like, we have another Clarabelle, but no Annie. What's going on? Alrighty, I got two Diesel 10s. I got exactly two Diesel 10s. One is from Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and another is from the CGI film Day of the Diesels. And Diesel 10 has primarily been a part of like 3 pieces of Thomas Media. I believe he only showed up in like a couple episodes of the show, but he mainly appeared in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Calling All Engines, and Day of the Diesels, which I believe is what this one is from. And this one is clearly meant to market Thomas and the Magic Railroad, I believe so. But what I like about both of these is that you got Pinchy right over here. It was always really cool. Diesel 10. You don't want to mess with him. The funny thing is, I don't think I ever had a Diesel growing up, but I had 2 Diesel 10s. And last but not least, we have a character who I wasn't even familiar with as a kid. And what do you know? Coach is right here. And the character's name is Connor. Now, Connor, I think, represents something very fascinating because Connor represents the time where I stopped watching the show, because I was very much still playing with the toys and watching my old favorite episodes, but I don't think I was keeping up the show's new episodes and its new movies. And so that Christmas, I got this Connor toy for Christmas, and that was the last Christmas I got Thomas the Tank Engine toys. I didn't know who this guy was. I only knew his name because it was on him. I have no idea what his personality is like. And he also represents something very fascinating because he's clearly not meant to be a steam train. He is very much meant to be a modern train, which I'm sure we'll see something very interesting for the show. I mean, just put him right next to Toby. I feel like these don't belong in the same world. Like, Thomas and Friends was always such a fun time capsule, and we suddenly have this modern train with Connor. I don't know, maybe the show will make a big deal about that when we finally get introduced to him, but this just represents a transitional period for me where Thomas and Friends got modern engines from the 21st century. It was time for me to stop watching, and it was time to put all the toys in the storage. Oh, I've just been birthed by Thomas the Tank Engine. This is what a college degree will get you, kid. So I got a couple more pieces of Thomas toys to show off. Mainly this tent. It's kind of on the floor now. But I would also like to show you guys one last Trackmaster toy, that being a big guy of a character we haven't met yet, Cranky the Crane. Yeah, I remember Cranky being a big part of the show. I remember playing with this guy a lot. He's covered in a bunch of dirt now because he's been in the basement floor for God knows how many years. He used to have a remote that would control him, and you would go all the way, like you can move his head. You can pull this lever, and you can adjust it. That's Cranky the Crane. And finally, I would like to show you guys my wooden railway toys. I had a lot of them as a kid, just as much as the Trackmaster and Tony stuff, but I lost most of them. I don't know where the grand majority of them are, but I do have about 5 to 4 of them that I want to show up for you today. First of all, obviously, we got Thomas. There's not a whole lot I could say. It's Thomas. We also got about half of James. I don't know where his tender went, but this was all I could find of James. We finally have about 2 characters that we haven't met yet. We got Harvey and Arthur. I like Harvey because he got the little crane, and Arthur he moves a little funny, like look and go. And last but not least, I believe what I'm about to show you are the Shining Time Station toys, because just because I said I did not play with these toys doesn't mean that they may or may not have been in my house, because I couldn't tell the difference. Obviously, they were just Thomas toys, but they look like the Shining Time Station ones, so I'm just gonna assume that they are, because these were the characters that came out. First off, we got Henry. There's Henry right over there. Not much to complain about him. He's Henry. He's a little bit of a sad sack. We also got James. We got James the Red Engine. We got Toby the Tram Engine right over here. Look at that magnificent box. And finally, we got 2 diesel engines. We got Daisy, everyone's favorite character, Daisy, who I believe has only showed up like twice. And we got my boy Rusty. Unironically, we stand Rusty. So yeah, if there's anybody out there watching this who is more familiar with Thomas and Friends toys, and in particular the history of them, please correct me in the comments below if these in particular are the Shining Time Station toys, or if they're just standard Thomas toys. Alright, so that's about it for the toys that I played with. Now, I don't think I'd be doing my job properly if I don't at least mention the Bachman sets. Now, these are not necessarily toys for kids. These are replica models that are directly ripped from the show. These are meant for model train collectors that were fans of the show as children, so that they can add the Thomas characters to their train sets, where everything that I've showcased in this video so far was purely meant for the enjoyment and pleasure of children. These are clearly meant for adult collectors, so I obviously did not have any of them as a kid. Although, my brother did have a couple model trains. They are gone. But yeah, that's basically what I want to do for this segment. I wanted to just showcase all of my favorite toys from when I was a kid. You know, this video might have seemed a little stupid or silly for a lot of you, but I think that going through all of these old toys, it really does bring us back to a simpler time. A time where we didn't really have to think about what life had in store for us. We didn't really have to think about all the drama that would be happening in our circles with relationships and friends and all that type of stuff. And we wouldn't have to worry about careers. All we had to worry about were the adventures that we would go on with our favorite toys, and seeing those new adventures on TV with our favorite characters. Speaking of those characters, next time I see you, we will be taking a look at Season 4, Episode 12 of Thomas and Friends. Well, technically it's Season 4, Episodes 23 and 24, but come on, guys, let's go off the Amazon listing. So, I'll see you when I see you. Yo, where the fuck's his funnel?